Hello and welcome to Book Lounge by Libby. I'm Joe, and I'm so happy you're here. Before we dive into the episode, please consider following wherever you get your podcasts and subscribing on the Libby app YouTube channel. On YouTube, not only are you getting video, we do also have bonus content, so you can join me for unboxing and book mail, as well as other fun things to come. Hope you're excited. I know I am. With that said, the reason you're all here today is one of my favorite kinds of episodes we do. It's our monthly book picks, where we go through and find things releasing in the upcoming month that we can't wait to add to our TBRs. Joining me today, my lovely friend Emma. Emma, hi, how are you?
Hi, Joe. Good, how are you?
Good. I'm so excited to have you today because this is the last time I'm going to get to see you for a little bit.
I know, I'm so excited, though, to talk about July books before I'm out on maternity leave.
Oh, I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I'm excited for you. I've been like cheering from the sidelines this whole time.
Yeah, I am trying to cram in a lot of reading now, although I'll admit it's not really happening. So we'll see. But
and that's okay. You're watching a lot of like adaptation TV content right now.
I am. So that obviously counts. I'm like deep in an off-campus hole. Probably not dissimilar to a lot of people. It is so good.
And you know what? Just keep rewatching until the cows come home.
Honestly, I might. We're on our second rewatch, and I think we may just go for a third. But and I actually started both. I started book 1 of that series that it's based on, The Deal, and then book 3, The Score. I'm like reading them simultaneously, which is kind of goofy to do, but I'm curious because of the show. For the first book, I wanted to see a little bit like of the differences. And then the third book that I'm reading, it's because that's actually the book they're adapting for season 2 of the show. They switched the like order a little bit. Yeah. And so I was kind of intrigued to read that as well. So I'm being really goofy and doing books 1 and 3 of that series while I watch the show.
I mean, hey, I'm sure the heated rivalry girlies will talk to you about book timelines too. And, picking what makes more compelling story and,
I know. But yeah, definitely in the heated rivalry hockey vein, although I still need to watch heated rivalry. And it's just because I don't have HBO still.
It was so good, Emma.
I know. I mean, I might save that for leave, actually.
You know, that's not a bad thing.
That's actually a good idea.
Now, aside from expecting, you are also one of my go-to mood readers. What is your summer vibe right now? Or what are you being drawn to in the books that you at least want to read?
Yeah, it's been really all over the map. Obviously like the L. Kennedy off-campus books was fully just like, whim. I watched the show. I'm also deep in a Sarah J. Maas reread universe, just ahead of the new ACOTAR books coming out this fall. So I'm actually also listening to House of Sky and Breath from her Crescent City series at the same time that I'm reading all this other stuff. And then I'm also I was trying to get ahead of things. I had an early copy originally of the new Carly Fortune, which is called, hold please, where is it on my shelf?
The purple one?
The purple one, Our Perfect Storm?
Yes, that sounds right.
I was trying to read that early, started it prior to it coming out in May, and then got distracted. And so I've been very slowly picking that back up because it's good. And I didn't put it down because I didn't like it. It was just, scatterbrain over here. So I'm also reading that because her books always feel like summer to me. Probably because they're usually set in the summer, but they also have that they're usually like lake house.
Yeah, lake house.
Childhood best friends, like that kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
Dirty Dancing. I don't know. Where you're at like a resort.
You're at a retreat of sorts. Yeah.
I've also been reading some Carly Fortune. So yeah, all of those are kind of, well, I guess they're all kind of romance, but they are all kind of all over the map. And then I was doing thriller. We talked about that. I've been in a really weird thriller mood. Um,
you have, and you always love a thriller
I
more than
know.
anything. So I think today we can expect to see a lot of romance and romance fantasy from you.
And then some like just like a couple of like suspenseful things tossed in.
So you're mostly on track for what you tend to trend right now.
Yeah, my summer reading looks very familiar, yet slightly more hectic, I feel like, than usual.
And that's okay. I feel like mine is similar. I'm trending. I'm back picked back up with the graphic novels as always, but I've found in this past year that I've just been reading them more consistently anyway. So I don't necessarily have the compulsion to be like, "Ooh, I have to get all these in." But it's
Yeah,
definitely like I'm finding myself having an easy time going to sit outside with my Kobo and like read them. So I think
perfect.
it's a little easier to make that sit down time. But I have been reading throughout. I actually I think I look a little different this summer. Now
Gonna
that now
say,
that I'm
tell
thinking about
me.
it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I have, of course the graphic novels are there, but I have more like normal mystery and I
Ooh.
and I have YA. YA is pretty standard for me, but it's not my typical. So
Mm,
let's just dive into it. I think the
yeah.
first that I think we both could have fought over for our list is Helpless by Jessica Knoll, author of Bright Young Women. Back in the professional book nerds days, I talked to Jessica Knoll for Bright Young Women. This will be out Actually, Emma's the one who made that happen. She had set it all up and I just, went and knocked it out. But this will be out July 7th. I'm going to forecast now that July 7th is the hot day of the month. But it's been 12 years since Faye Heron broke Henry Spalding's heart. Henry was her college boyfriend, her first love, but Faye was in danger of being subsumed by him and the intensity of their connection, a connection that took her beyond the boundaries she'd only dreamed of crossing. Now, Faye is one half of a power producing duo with her Hollywood husband, Henry. Oh, no, with her Hollywood husband. Henry is a married father running the family business. On the surface, both of their lives have essentially gone to plan. When a former and beloved college professor suddenly passes away, Faye and Henry find themselves back on campus for the funeral, circling some old and dangerous somethings. Something, if Faye is honest with herself, she has been trying to duplicate for years. But Henry is one of a kind. The kind who delivers a hypnotic apology for the way things ended. The kind who suggests they go back to the hotel for a drink. The kind who drugs and kidnaps her. When Faye comes to Henry's remote mountain cabin, she's beside herself. Has Henry brought her here to punish her? She did, after all, write and star in a lauded episode of television based on their indelicate appetites and vicious breakup. As her week of captivity unfolds, Henry's wanton demands intensify, and Faye finds herself pulled back into his irresistible gravity. But as Faye and Henry spiral into their old dynamic, a sprawling, years-old mystery begins to take shape. One that will rewrite history as Faye remembers it and reveal an astounding, cataclysmic truth. So, again, that is Helpless by Jessica Knoll, out July 7th. This is listed as romance, suspense, and thriller. I'm just very excited to see Jessica's take on kind of like the dark romance genre. It feels like it has elements of that, but way more thriller. I'm curious overall. Her writing is really gorgeous. And it's a lot of things I don't know that much about in terms of like other genres. So I'm hoping that like taking a writer I enjoy will help introduce me to things I want to understand what other people enjoy about.
No, it sounds so good. And we're friends because I saw you put this on here and I wasn't going to argue and take it off your list and put it on my
And you
list.
could have,
No, but this sounds so, so good. I'm so
right?
excited to see she's got a new one that certainly seems in her realm, but is definitely different than her last book.
Yeah,
Ooh, no, it looks so good.
I'm here for it.
I am also here for, we talked about this in no surprise to anyone who's ever heard me talk about a book before. Uh, I have the first couple of picks grouped into my romance fantasy realm. Dare I call it romantasy? Are we tired of that a word yet? But the first one, and I actually have a copy of it sitting here. I'm very excited. An early copy. This is Prince of Swords by Elise Kova. This is out July 21st. I'm actually surprised to see the late July date because I agree with you. I think we've got quite a few coming early July. But this is the sequel to Arcana Academy, which I may have talked about last summer.
Yeah, I think you're the person who told me about it. Yeah.
Yeah, the one. I'm waving my hands like the black cover with the with the gold and the things. But we have the sequel to that. And so again, I know for sequels, if you haven't read the first book, we may have some spoilers here. So if you haven't read the first book and you want to skip ahead, fair warning. So welcome back to Arcana Academy. Tarot magic, forbidden desire, battle and betrayal collide for the power to change the world in the thrilling second book of this New York Times best-selling romance series. So Clara Greysword, and why do I do this? I pick fantasy books and then I actually realize I have to say the words and the lands aloud.
The struggle is
the struggle
too
every
real.
time. In my head, I just kind of, you gloss over them. You're like,
sneak peek. I have a cozy fantasy on this list, and I'm like breaking it right now. Just like, I'm not gonna survive.
I do this every time, but bear with me. Clara Greysword is Oracalis's most wanted. Hunted and cornered, not even her mastery of tarot can save her this time. Until the mysterious world keepers appear. This secretive order may hold the key to changing Clara's fate if she dares to trust them. But the most dangerous alliance of all is one she's already deeply ensnared within. Prince Kalis. Kalis, second-born prince of Oracalis and headmaster of Arcana Academy, is the one man she can't escape, and maybe she doesn't want to escape. Ruthless, dangerous, and bound to Clara by destiny and desire, Kalis tests her heart as much as her loyalty. Together, they grow closer to the most powerful secrets of the tarot and to the truths they both hide that could destroy the passion that they no longer deny. Hidden in plain sight within Arcana Academy, Clara walks the dagger's edge. Revelations about Oracalis threaten everything she thought she knew, and every choice she makes is the difference between salvation and ruin. In classic fantasy epic fashion, to change the world, Clara must risk everything. Her power, her beliefs, and her heart. I love when the stakes are quite high, especially when it's not real life. So
I think that's such a good point. Fine with stakes when it's the furthest thing from reality.
Correct. So, if her powers are at stake, the empire, the whole thing. Love that in a fantasy book. Obviously don't love that so much for real life. But that is Prince of Swords. Again, taking us back to Arcana Academy World by Elise Kova. And that is out July 21st.
I love it. My next pick, you may have heard mention if you are subscribed to the Libby App YouTube channel. I did a recent massive unboxing from multiple publishers, and this was in there, holding it up to the camera for those of you who are watching. It's so beautiful. It's full color, which I love. This is My Tokyo Summer by Abby Denson and art by Udo Maru. This is so me, and it's so like my graphic novel speed. This will be out on July 7th as well. As I mentioned, that seems to be the hot date. It is from our friends over at Scholastics from their graphics imprint. It's a charming and vibrant true story about an unforgettable summer in Japan. Abby lives in the United States and loves comics, zines, and punk music. Yuko lives in Japan and loves manga, American movies, and creating art. When Yuko visits New York City and sees a comic that Abby made, she writes a letter to Abby and they become pen pals. Later, Abby takes the opportunity to enroll in a summer university program in Japan, and the two girls get the chance to meet in person. What follows are charming and funny adventures in Tokyo as Abby and Yuko explore the city together. Things get even more exciting when they decide to combine their talents and make a comic to sell at Comic-Con, one of the largest comics conventions in the world. This will be an extraordinary summer of life-changing friendship. So again, that is My Tokyo Summer by Abby Denson and Udo Maru, out July 7th. I just, I'm such a sucker for slice of life. Like, I don't know. Like, I again, there's something to me that's just very compelling of it's a day in someone's life. It's, like their story. I think that's why I'm also drawn to graphic memoirs because it's kind of like it's a more engaging way to read that style of writing as well.
That's so good. The minute you held it up, I was like, this is a Joe book. Like, we don't even need any details. This is
Right.
a Joe book. That sounds so, so good.
When the email got through to be like, "Hi, would you like a copy of this?" I was like, I have been targeted and I am not mad about it.
Immediate yes. Immediate yes.
Immediate yes.
No, I feel similarly about the next book. So we'll just knock out all the fantasy-esque ones at the top mostly. And apparently this one also is July 21. So
Oh,
that may be
so
the hot
that's the
fantasy,
fantasy day.
the hot fantasy day for July. But I again, apologies. This was unintentional. I'm just chomping at the bit to read the next books in some of these series and highly anticipated trilogies. So we've got another book too. I'm sorry. And it's A Forsaken Prophecy by Stacey McEwen. This is out July 21st from Simon & Schuster. And this returns to the world that she started last year in A Forbidden Alchemy. You may have seen her on Book Talk. She's one of the most entertaining people I've seen on there. And so fun to see her kind of transition from book talker to author and back. But this one is a little more gritty, but we've still got magic and star-crossed lovers and all the things that I'm sorry, I genuinely cannot get enough of. So for those who haven't read, again, any spoilers warned. So in a world of high-class magic and gangster grit, a star-crossed couple must decide, as you do in these situations, where their loyalties lie. In Bellavere Trench, the artisans and the craftsmen are at war. Patrick, the last alchemist, and Nina, the world's only known earth charmer, have been captured by the artisans, putting Patrick's rebel union in a precarious position. Though he hasn't forgiven Nina her betrayals, Patrick has other things to worry about. He is finally reunited with his father, a prisoner of the artisans, and the group lands a narrow escape only with the help of Nina's first love, Theo. The drama. Decoding an ancient prophecy, they set off in search of an infinite supply of idiom that will determine the course of the war should it prove more than a myth. Fleeing across craftsman towns on the brink, they will encounter old friends and enemies in search of answers. So I love this. I know, hot take, book twos of, series or trilogies, you're like, it's likely going to end on a cliffhanger. It's likely going to do all these things, but I'm really excited just to dive back into this world that was created, and I can't wait to see where things go. So that is A Forsaken Prophecy by Stacey McEwen, July 21st.
And duologies were so hot. It's funny to hear like, oh yeah, this one's
I
set as a
know.
trilogy.
I
So
think it is. Let
no,
me
I'm not
double check
doubting you.
that.
That's
No,
more
but
just like, whoa.
first, okay, can confirm it is a trilogy.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me double check.
That was
Because you're right, like
yeah.
duologies and things have really, I feel like, picked up steam
Yes.
more than I feel like I've seen recently. But yeah, that one we will have another book after this. So I know, we're
You don't have to
building to
panic.
the
Yeah.
conclusion, but I'm very excited. And the cover on this one is lovely.
It's a
I mean,
lovely cover. It definitely, I see it and I go, yep, that's a romantasy.
yeah.
And that's not shade. It's just, I love that you can tell what you're going to get.
Exactly. You know what you're in for.
I
So
mean, if I wasn't looking at it right now, I'd probably go Swords and Flowers.
yep, we've got swords, flowers, we've got some type of embellishment, maybe like an element, a
Mhm.
flame, a wave.
Is there perhaps like a snake or, wispy imagery like smoke?
Right. Something mythological. Who knows?
But
But
I'm here for it.
here
I
for
mean,
it.
nothing wrong with that. As you work your way to clear out your fantasies, I'm going to work my way through my graphic novels. I I have a few, dear listeners. I have 4 that I'm bringing to the table this week. So the next one is another one I have in hand that you probably saw if you watched that YouTube video. If not, go check it out. This is Coming Out Perfect, a graphic novel by Richard Mercado. Online, it lists it as number 1. So hopefully this is the start of a series. This is also from our friends at Scholastic's Graphics, and it will be out July 7th. From Ignatz nominated cartoonist Richard Mercado comes a refreshingly honest and moving YA graphic novel perfect for fans of queer coming of age stories like Heartstopper. When Kevin's parents ignore his attempts to come out of the closet, he devises a plan to become more like Raymond, the popular gay kid at his school. After all, if Kevin can do everything perfectly too, then people will have to pay attention to him. But life under Raymond's wings isn't easy. A dress code, new things Kevin can't do, and even abandoning his old, uncool friends. Perfection comes at a cost, and Kevin must decide whether it's worth the sacrifice. I I don't know. I love this perspective of just like, if I do it all right, my life will change, because I feel like a lot of us, and I think this is a pretty universal experience just for a lot of us anxious babes out there, is that like we try to think if we do it exactly like someone else did, or if we follow all of these meticulously crafted steps on the checklist, everything will be perfect. And that's not how life works. So I think this will be something that everyone can resonate with. So again, Coming Out Perfect, Richard Mercado, July 7th. So
That
far, that's my
sounds,
hot day.
yeah, no, that sounds so good. And I think what you said is true, certainly, where you feel like if you follow someone's path or you just do something the exact same way, that it will work out perfectly. And that was
Or,
almost never the case, or
or
just,
right. Or we put that back on ourselves of like, well, why did
yeah,
it work for them? Like we still find like when we do it perfectly and it doesn't work, we then blame ourselves that like, why am I
yeah,
not as good as, or why didn't it work like it worked for that? We're never mad that it worked for them. We're mad that it didn't
didn't
work, even
work
though
for
we did
us.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, that sounds great.
And I
I,
love that, like, I don't know, summer to me, I will always end up with that like summer reading kid in my heart. And so I always tend to go back to middle grade and YA. Um,
yes.
I don't know, which is ironic because I spent most of my summers in the middle grade and YA range reading adult fiction. So not that I didn't read things in my age grade, but like, I don't know. I think like of the time that I would have been reading this, I was reading a lot of Chuck Palahniuk. So,
Mm,
b- you know,
yeah.
I
No, but
contain
I
multitudes.
I think that sort of like summer coming of age, like nostalgia, like summer break from when we were kids. I feel that because I do tend to be more drawn to YA, I feel like in the summer as well.
And to that point, the coming of age of it all, while those aren't always my favorite, unless it's like second coming of age or found
Right.
family in a novel, while those aren't necessarily my favorite novels, I do really enjoy that as a graphic novel. So I think
Yeah.
that's also why I'm drawn to this, because it's, I don't know. I think the medium feels right for me
Yeah, it's
versus,
hitting those boxes for you.
yeah.
Ooh, no, that's so
Yeah.
good. My next one is actually a July 7th. So we'll tie that in.
All right.
And the first two ones I had were the second book in trilogies. This one is the second book in a duology. So we are
We're progressing.
we are progressing. We are tying the bow on this series, on this duology. And I'm pretty sure this author is Northeast Ohio based. If I'm not
Ooh.
if I'm not mistaken. Of course, I'm like, she does now live in Cleveland. Okay, I'm not completely off base. I was just double checking myself there. The brain right now is a little all over the map from the hormones. But this is In the Wake of the Ruined by Callie Cassidy, out July 7th. This, ugh, y'all. I'm so excited. So the first book in this duology was In the Veins of the Drowning, which you may recognize from last year. The cover was like, again, gorgeous and blue and like mermaidy. This is from Little Brown. So our friends at Hachette told me about this last year. But a powerful siren must face the monster threatening her home, even if it means risking everything. You guys, I love, again, when the stakes are high, like you're risking everything for all of this, including the king she's grown to love in this dark and romantic follow-up to In the Veins of the Drowning. So again, if you haven't read the first book, slight spoilers in the description for the conclusion to the duology. So here we go. The realm has a new queen and a new monster. Imogen Nell, a powerful siren, can no longer hide her monstrous abilities. She's claimed her ancestral crown and new grotesque magic, and now the corrupted bond she shares with the ancient deity Usia is stronger than ever. Though Imogen is determined to sever it, doing so is no easy feat. Why would it be easy? The threat of war looms. Can we sense some themes here? Shifting alliances, a hunger for magic, and her feelings for Theodore, king of Varia, attempt to thwart her at every turn. Meanwhile, Theodore is battling the strain of his own crown and commitments. When Imogen suddenly appears on his ship, every dutiful resolution he's ever made threatens to snap. As they draw nearer to ending Usia, lurking dangers and their perilous desire for one another prove nearly insurmountable. Will the chaos, ruin, and death that Imogen has prophesied to usher into the realm be the end of all things or the beginning? I have a guess, but we will find out. We will find out for sure in The Wake of the Ruined, again by Callie Cassidy, out July 7th. And I've not read a ton of like siren, mermaid fantasy, honestly. And so I'm excited to kind of head back into this really, I mean, unique to me fantasy setup.
I love the more of a mythological take on
Yeah.
romantasy.
Yep.
Again, I'm no expert. But I don't even know if I've read much of any romantasy. So like grain of salt, but that to me, like when I make these lists of, okay, when I'm ready to try, which one am I going to try? Like, I love that concept as a Sailor Moon kid, as like a Greek mythology kid. Anything that takes me down the route of like, instead
Yeah.
of the kind of like hero, like chosen hero thing, a little more of like a creature we're familiar with, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I agree. And I know that like, I feel like we've seen obviously a lot of like fae, vampires, and things like that. And more so seeing things like mermaids, sirens, like that more mythological tilt. So yeah, certainly more new to me as well. The kind of like monster-esque twist,
Yeah.
but so good.
I'm here for it. My next pick takes me firmly back to what I was reading, like middle high school, because book 99, volume 99 of the series Case Closed by Gosho Aoyama will be out on July 14th. So I have one that isn't the 7th so far. If you don't know about Case Closed, known as Detective Conan in Japan, it's a mystery manga about a brilliant teen detective who is forcibly shrunken into a child by an underground crime syndicate. He adopts an alias to secretly solve cases and bring down the syndicate while searching for a cure to his affliction. Jimmy Kudo is a 17-year-old high school detective dubbed the modern Sherlock Holmes. While investigating a shady transaction, he's ambushed by members of the syndicate and fed an experimental poison. Instead of killing him, the poison is what shrinks his body back into that of an elementary schooler. To protect himself and his loved ones, he takes on the pseudonym Conan. He lives with his childhood friend Rachel and her father, Richard Moore, who is a bumbling private investigator. Using his genius intellect and spy gadgets invented by his neighbor, Dr. Agasa, Conan secretly knocks out Richard to do the murder plot reveals. It's really fun. I would think of it as kind of like it's very Murder She Wrote coded. Like each volume has like a story and a half or like two stories, but the previous volume is tied up at the beginning. There's a whole story in the middle, and then the start to the next volume is at the end. It's just really fun. And as a lover of mysteries, especially that like cozy adjacent, and now being the lover of like literature and translation, I am seeing the Japanese approach to this mystery genre because there's so much love for the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's and Agatha Christie's. It's really cool to see mysteries translated into a visual format. I hadn't picked up Case Closed in a long time. And so when I was looking for titles for this and saw 99, immediately hopped in Libby and saw where I left off. And this is what I have been reading. So I have been listening to, Emma, you're not ready for this. I have been listening to the Goliaths of Wrestling series, which is a paranormal queer romance series.
Okay, but I
about
love that.
wrestlers.
I love that.
And so I've been listening to that, and then I have been reading Case Closed.
But perfection.
That's my vibe right now. Yeah.
Perfection.
It's wild, and I'm here for it. But so this series has been running in Japan since 1994, and it has been translated in English since 2004, both the anime and the manga. I probably found it around 2004, so I've been reading it since the beginning, like I said, with some breaks here and there, because, especially with series like this, that the books are like, you've always got a cliffhanger. You kind of want a few to be out. So, but yeah, it's so fun. And it's also just kind of wild to see it going strong after all this time. But I'm happy. I'm here for it. So,
I love that.
Again, that is Case Closed, Volume 99 by Gosha Aoyama. That will be out July 14th. And if you would like to try manga, I know I always push graphic novels, but if you're also like, Joe, how do I get into manga? I think this could be a great one. If you like mysteries, it's right there for you. It's got like the crime elements. It's got the mystery whodunit elements. Yeah.
That's so good. It's like a nice little entree too.
Yes, exactly. I was talking to my boyfriend because he's read some comics and some graphic novels. He hasn't done any manga, and he doesn't necessarily want to. And I'm not trying to get him to read anything he doesn't want to read. But this might be the one where I go, okay, but try this, because he is such a mystery lover.
Yeah.
Our book intersection is horror and these kind of like cozy adjacent or like Jessica Fletcher style mysteries. Like, he is a huge Agatha Christie fan. So like this is very in that spirit for him. So we'll see.
Yeah, that might be just the thing.
Yeah.
Perfect segue. It's almost like we had shared notes.
Almost.
Almost. My next one is a thriller pick. I'm very excited about it. Although the title is making me laugh. If you are anywhere on Book Talk or Book Threads recently, the title for this is Hot Girl Murder Club by Ashley Winstead. This is out July 14th. Lots of discourse on hot girls doing anything with reading lately.
I just saw that last night. I love
hot girls read.
The hot girls read and the trademark of it all.
Trademark drama. So I'm looking at this title and laughing at that timing. Hot Girl Murder Club. But Ashley Winstead is sort of a staple author in this space. I'm positive we've mentioned her books in past iterations and certainly back in the Pro Book Nerds days. But this I'm really excited for. I don't know what it is about summer, but I do feel like summer lends itself to a thriller. I mean, you can read a thriller all year round. I say that in the winter when it's like cold and dark and gray. But, for whatever reason, beach read, pool read to me is thriller. So from Ashley Winstead, her new book, I like the word, it's buzzy, it's bloody. That's literally what they were using to describe the first bit of this. So what's a girl got to do to get some fame, a few million record sales, and justice for murder? So just like a short to-do list. 10 years ago, aspiring singer-actress Scout Sage lost the only thing that mattered, her sister Georgia. Ever since Georgia's mysterious death at a Hollywood party, Scout's done her best to honor her memory, clawing her way through the industry and collecting a network of climbers along the way. Fellow hot girls in stilettos with cutthroat ambition, a new Hollywood order. But when a slew of targeted murders make headlines across LA, all pointing to Scout as the killer, she turns overnight from a mid-tier pop star into the world's most famous, alleged, parentheses, murderer. Now everything she's worked to build, including the justice she wants for Georgia, will fall apart unless Scout can prove she's not guilty. Meanwhile, the young and unusual detective assigned to her case, herself no stranger to tragedy, begins to unearth secrets not even Scout knows, let alone her millions of new fans, particularly about the ways George's death connects to an even older pattern of crimes long hushed over in Hollywood. An old reign of terror that, if brought to light, could be the fuel that ignites a reckoning the world over. So that is Hot Girl Murder Club by Ashley Winstead, out July 14th.
I'm so here
Yeah.
for it.
Yep.
This
Yep.
was one of the ones that I had pulled, and I went,
Yeah.
oh, already on Emma's list. Got it.
Yeah, this I felt like would definitely be a crossover on our lists for sure. And the
1,000%.
cover is, not to harp on the cover, but it really does.
It's a good one.
It really is a good one, y'all. It's like glitzy. It's a little dramatic and mysterious. The font is like nice and poppy and bright.
Yeah.
Like
Sharp almost.
Yeah, sharp, very crisp. And I cannot wait to have this and, like, toss my Kindle in my beach bag or get a copy of this and read it outside. It sounds so good.
Oh, fully with you on that. I feel like Ashley Winstead, between the two of us, always ends up on a list over the last however many years it's been.
Yeah.
Because they have so many words that speak to me, and I'm always here for it. I also loved your point about like thriller for summer, because when I talk to people about mood reading, and when I've done some like convos lately about like what does a good beach read look like, a lot of times people say it's something that you can pick up and put down consistently, like whether you're a mom watching kids at the beach or the pool, or like what you're paying attention to. Are you grilling, and so you have to like put things down and like jump back over to it, whatever it may be. I think there is something about a love of like that portability action.
Yeah.
And I think your point of thrillers, it almost increases the tension while you're reading, when the ability to like, quick, lock your phone if you're reading on a phone or a tablet, or like throw your, old receipt bookmark in there, and know that like pick back up, but the tension has been ramping kind of like in the back of your brain as you noodle on what's going on, and you're like more in it.
Yeah, no, that's actually such a good point where, right, it has to be compelling enough that you want to keep picking it back up in between kind of all of these like outdoor activities or other things. Summer is notoriously busy for me with things, and right, we're spending more time outdoors. It's finally nice here in Northeast Ohio. So no, I think that's a great point, because right, I think for me during this time, if something is too robust or like and this slaps other times of the year, but right, where I don't have as much time to invest in like world building or anything, I really want something like kind of snappy. And I do find that the thriller genre does keep things pretty quick paced, just because of the nature of those stories.
That like sharp staccato.
Yeah.
And I think thrillers will always lend themselves to like, if I'm thinking in terms of like television or on the screen, having that clipped moment where it cuts to commercial and you go, wait, what's next?
No, I think that's spot on. So that is absolutely why that's a vibe for summer.
Oh, well, I'm here for it. My next pick, this is my last graphic novel, y'all, and then I promise I have some other options for you from my list. But this is why I don't do these solo. I need people to balance me in case I'm in the weirdest reading mood. So this is Witch's Inheritance, and this is absolutely a situation where I was gotten by the cover, because y'all know I am a sucker. I find all my books by the cover practically. It's either an author I love or a gorgeous cover that hooked me in. But this is Witch's Inheritance, Paige Hender. This will be out July 7th. So this is a YA graphic novel. It is listed as fantasy, folklore, YA fiction. It's a contemporary dark fantasy graphic novel about a young woman who discovers she comes from a long line of witches and is tasked with keeping her new town safe from the creatures lurking in the forest. It's listed as for fans of E.M. Carroll, Molly Knox Ostertag, and Trung Lee Win. Edie Birch needs an escape from her crumbling life. When a death in the family leaves Edie the inheritor of a strange, towering house in the small town of Hart Creek, she doesn't look back. While she tries to connect with her estranged aunt and learn more about her mysterious family history, she uncovers a shocking truth. She comes from a long line of witches. The heir to her grandmother's powers, Edie is Hart Creek's only hope to keep away the beasts lurking at the forest's edge. As she struggles to master her magic, she'll enlist the help of local folklore nerd Leander and discover secrets that will leave her questioning who the true monsters are. Again, that is Witch's Inheritance by Paige Hender, out July 7th. The book got me because it's full Baba Yaga on the cover, house on chicken legs. And I'm not I was a PBS kid. I learned about Baba Yaga from Arthur. So hell yeah. But I'm really excited to pick this up. I love that kind of like inheritance of power. I mean, we could throw comps out left and right, but there's something about that, like, didn't know we were witches. I am the town's only protector. Like that odd toe the line of cozy and not cozy.
I like that you said cozy and not cozy, because I
think of,
totally get
other,
what you mean, though.
Right. I'm like, because I wouldn't consider practical magic cozy.
Right.
But it is cozy. So that's why I'm like, it's cozy, but it's not cozy. Because it's like in that vein. And this to me has some of that energy of like, it's almost a cozy fantasy, but there might be stakes. And since this is the magic of these episodes, we don't know anything about these books for the most part. We only have the description and the cover in front of us. I'm excited. I would love to see what stakes they're giving us. And even if it ends up being kind of like a lighter series of what's the witch doing in this town, I still won't be mad at that.
This sounds so good. And one of the reviews on this describes it as atmospheric. Oh, and man, yep.
Sold.
I mean,
sold. And an atmospheric graphic novel, I think, is a real treat for people. Yeah. And again, like if some of the comps and the parallels that I'm drawing are enticing to you, but you haven't tried a graphic novel yet, maybe this is the way in.
No, but actually.
Jenny called me out for it, but I'm always selling graphic novels to people. I'm like, come on, just try it once, please.
Nope, so good. My next book combines romance and suspense. So we've got a little bit of everything in this one. And these books are not new, but I believe they're new in this iteration from this publisher. And so that is Fox, Foxx, by Paisley Hope. This is out July 14th. Now we are returning to her sort of interconnected standalone suspense romance series, The Soldiers of Bedlam. And I do love an interconnected, romance where you can read them in order and get sort of the full scope of the world, or you can just read about whichever couple sort of speaks to you the most. And this one just with no exception looks great. And the cover is kind of like pin-up-y, like, why can I not think of the word? Vintagey.
I'll say it. It's sexy. First and foremost, it's a sexy cover, but I'm with you. It is kind of pin-up.
Yeah, that like vintagey style. Like,
it's definitely, for
like lack of a better
vintage word. 50s pinup. It's a little like Betty Page. It's a little Dita Von Teese. I know she's not vintage, but her aesthetic is.
Exactly. It really matches that aesthetic. But this one is sort of a darker romantic suspense. And we've got enemies to lovers. And we've got a motorcycle club. So setting the tone here. I will note before we get into the description, there are I say nicely labeled. It is nice they let you know there are some content warnings here. So check the actual book for the full list of content warnings. But as you may expect with something that's like a motorcycle club or a syndicate and all things, there's violence and alcohol and drug use in that. So just an FYI, if you need to, there are content warnings at the author's note for this one. So Mia Tyler is looking for revenge on the only man left with answers about her sister's death. I didn't realize when I selected these that that was a common theme across a couple of my choices. But the president of the Disciples of Sin Motorcycle Club, Aiden Fox. There's only one problem. Mia's older brother, Mason, is a high-ranking member of a rival club, the Hounds of Hell. If anyone finds out who she is or what she's doing, her whole plan and maybe her whole life will be in jeopardy. Nothing like some rival motorcycle clubs, y'all. She's determined to hate him, determined to get her truth and her revenge. But something about him draws her in and makes her feel things she's never felt before. When Aiden steps in to protect Mia from a psychopath, as I guess happens in these high-stakes settings, Mia gets a better look at Aiden's secrets and the line between love and hate begins to blur. So I like romance for the tropes. I like romance for the predictability. And for this one, it is ticking all the boxes that I enjoy. We have enemies to lovers. We have sort of like rival motorcycle clubs. We have like a quest for revenge. And then certainly the line between love and hate is not so clear. So that is Fox by Paisley Hope, out July 14th. Again, this is part of an interconnected standalone series. So there are other ones that you can dive into if you enjoy this one.
I do, now that I'm reading the Goliaths of Wrestling series, I do really enjoy that kind of like interconnected, but it's not like it's a series, but it's not about like you're going from perspective to perspective.
Yeah.
I especially love the tease of who the next character is going to be in the book. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
I agree.
Emma, I finally get it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like you can pick and choose what is most interesting to you, but right, like you could read it in order, or you could read the full thing. If you want like all of that added, whatever, all of that added plot or added like kind of Easter eggs. And
or
I've done
you could
several,
just
like
pick up the one that interests you alone and just do that
exactly,
if you want
and see if it's for you based on like your preferred. So I actually, that's how I started the LC Silver Chestnut Springs.
Oh, really?
I actually started with book 2.
Oh, wow. And that's one of your favorites.
And that's
like,
one of my
series.
favorites because I was like, out of all of these, this one sounds the most up my street. Do I want to invest, in 5 books or whatever? And so like, did it spoil some things? Kind of, but I mean, with romance, if you know the 2 main characters, you know where it's ending anyways.
Right.
So,
and like, if it's true romance, you know that it's a happily ever after. Like,
exactly. So then for me, it was actually more interesting. In that case, I went back and was like, how did we get here?
Yes.
So I do love that element as well, where you can kind of pick and choose how you want to read that.
As a bit of a check-in, what are some of your favorite romance tropes right now?
Now, I feel like just forever and always.
Yeah.
Fake dating is always a good one. I don't know why. It's like never a good idea. And it always leads to more feelings than initially planned. I love fake dating. I can never get enough of enemies to lovers, but I will clarify enemies where it's sort of like they're naturally at odds with one another. I don't mean that they're horrendous to each other.
Right. You're talking like grumpy sunshine enemies to lovers, or like black cat golden retriever enemies to lovers.
Like the stakes are against them, or like, they come from 2 totally different backgrounds, or like a
Romeo and Juliet enemies to lovers.
Not like we actively despise one another and we're like verbally abusive to each other. I don't love that. I mean, personally.
Right.
For me, because then I know that's an obstacle that you can overcome.
But you're not necessarily
me as a
interested.
Reader, it's harder for me to forget. I'm like, you said that, and that was really mean. So not that enemies to lovers.
That's not the tension journey that I want to overcome. Although my current Goliaths of Wrestling is an enemies to lovers, but whatever. I think the way that she's handling the spice balances it very nicely.
Balances it out. And certainly to each their own.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
What else? Those are kind of my forever
Fake dating,
tops.
enemies to
Fake dating and
lovers.
enemies
Yeah.
to lovers.
Anything you've been gravitating toward lately that might not be one of your usuals, but you're just finding yourself reading a lot of?
I'm like, what have I even been reading? I've been doing such eclectic reading lately. And lots of like rereads.
Well,
And then
and
honestly,
I
lots
threw
of
this at you out of the blue.
no, and then lots of thrillers,
Yeah.
which is different tropes,
Right.
but not quite in the same vein. No, and I mean, I guess I don't think this is a trope necessarily. But I do have been gravitating towards, I mean, because it's sunny and again, we're in warmer weather, more of those books that evoke that like kind of summertime setting, whether that's
Absolutely.
like a beach setting, a lake setting, you know,
People you meet on vacation, not
right,
the
like,
book, just the concept.
right, exactly. Kind of those types of things, like trip related, trip
Yeah.
romance, vacation romance, road trip
Okay.
kind of romance. Mostly because I feel like that certainly lends to the season.
And do
But
you feel like you vacillate on the peppers that you want in your books? Like, do you, as a romance reader, want the full gamut of like, you know, maybe just barely open door to like five peppers, or you'll
that's a
read it all, or
good
there's a time and
question.
place?
I'll read it all.
Right.
For me, I am kind of like spicier the better,
Yes.
but I don't dismiss anything because of the spice or lack of spice.
Love that. Okay. Yeah. Because I think I'm like if it's a 4 pepper, I'm going to be sold one way or another. Like, I think I
Yeah.
tend to go more toward like the 5s. But I think as long as it's open door, even if it's like the most chaste of 3s, I can still be bought in. I'm not as drawn to pure longing with no like
With
with
no
nary a
spice.
kiss. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't think I love a fade to black, as I'm discovering on this journey.
Yeah.
But I'm with you of like, I'm not gonna put anything off the list because of.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I'm not going to dismiss anything because of the level of spice or not.
But
But
the
for me,
spicier the
the
better.
spicier the better. There really hasn't been anything I've read where I've been like, whoa, too much spice.
Yeah, same.
Or, if you're like, okay, kind of just like breeze
I'm
on
also
by.
right. And I'm also like, I'm not hunting down, it's kind of
Yeah.
like the things that I find my way to.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I think like
exactly.
even when they are 5, we're not like adding secret ghost peppers to it. So
Exactly. But no, like lots of like, I mean, the newest Elsie Silver, Fever Dream, that was like my brother's rival. And then the Game On by Navessa Allen. That was obviously darker than the Elsie Silver. And that was a little bit more like, I would describe that as more like enemies to lovers, or like kind of at odds. I feel like enemies to lovers is so associated with fantasy.
right. And I just had a great conversation about that with BK and Anne, that it was kind of like, there is no set definition of what any of these tropes mean.
Yeah.
But people get so staunch on like, well, that's not enemies to lovers, or it's only enemies to lovers if this, where like, as you're showing us, there's so many ways you can define it. And it's almost like they've made up tropes to still kind of say the same thing.
Yeah.
But
and BK, I just read, I just did finally read And Now Back to You. And I was like saving that one for some reason because I just knew it would be so good. And she just announced the cover for a longtime listener. Out, I mean, this is out like eons from now, February 27, but that's enemies to lovers, I'm pretty sure. So let me tell you.
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. That is corporate enemies to lovers.
Ooh,
so
okay, now that's fun.
That's a fun twist.
Well, my next pick I don't think I have any romance. I don't think any of my remaining picks, they might have romantic elements, but my romance on this list is none. This is my cozy fantasy pick because I am always kind of chasing the high of Travis Baldree with Bookshops and Bone Dust, that series, the Legends and Latte series. This is The Inn at the Foot of Mount Vengeance by Kiara Bullen. This will be out July 7th. This is, I very much think, a cozy fantasy. It's got a quote from Sarah Beth Durst, the author of The Spell Shop. It's a heartfelt and heartwarming story about finding your own peace, charming and lovely. A young, aspiring scholar is sent to research the mysteries of an adventurer's inn, only to uncover a centuries-old secret while finding true friendship and a new home in this uplifting, cozy fantasy. Mount Vengeance is legendary. For most, it's an adventure or a quest to prove themselves worthy of fame and glory. For Ainsworth Gladsley, it's the perfect thesis material. Ainsworth is an ambitious research fellow and up-and-coming historian, finally ready to make his mark on the world. When his supervisor learns of the rumored Minch Inn at the foot of Mount Vengeance, she sends Ainsworth to be the first to document the exploits of the bold adventurers who seek to face the perils of the mountain and the dragon said to inhabit it. Too many letters together. And also apologies on names and locations. The inn is far from the sophisticated city life he's grown to love, but even as he grudgingly warms to its rustic charm and its lovely innkeeper Honey, the mystery of the mountain refuses to reveal itself. Worse, Ainsworth can't find evidence that anyone has ever undertaken the climb. Even the bravest warriors who stay at the inn turn away from Mount Vengeance the next day. With Ainsworth's reputation on the line, he can't allow this mystery to remain unsolved, even if he has to push the adventurers up the mountain himself. So again, that is The Inn at the Foot of Mount Vengeance by Kiara Bullen, out July 7th. It's got a cute cover. It's got a cozy concept. Like, please.
Divine.
I'm here for it.
That sounds so wonderful.
And I see you sent me in chat. Yeah. I'm like, what is flashing? What?
Yeah, I was curious if you'd seen the Travis Baldree graphic novel version of Legend. Is it Legends and Lattes? I've already forgotten.
Lattes, yep.
Is out, I think, later this year.
October. Well, thank you for that. I have some emails to send after we finish recording.
Add to cart, add to TBR, add to notify me.
Add to notify me now.
All of that.
But yeah, I'm really finding my footing in the cozy fantasy world. As you've heard me say over the years, I want to love fantasy, but I tend to struggle with it because my enjoyment is such a light and delicate balance. And I think what we were saying earlier with thrillers and like summer reads, I need less stakes. I need less world building. So I feel like cozy fantasy was made for me.
Yeah, right. It's like, it's very gentle.
Yes.
Immersion into a world.
Just light and breezy. I want the drama. I want the romance. I want the stakes. But I don't need the hundreds of page long buildup to a grand battle.
Yeah.
I'm okay without it. I promise.
No, I'm with you there. And I think my next pick perfectly segues into that. That sort of nostalgia, like throwback vibes. And it is The Mashup by Laura Marie Myers, out July 7th. It's all fun and games until someone falls in love. Mansion, apartment, shack, house. You may be familiar with MASH if you grew up at any point in the 90s and 2000s. So this was an immediate okay, yes, you have my attention here. Ruby Wynn is a staunch rule follower who lives by the numbers. Can't relate to that at all. So when a surprising breakup on her 35th birthday ruins all her well-laid plans, Ruby makes an unexpected wish. This is kind of giving 13 going on 30. Only to wake up inside a MASH game from 7th grade, that MASH game. Settled in a Technicolor mansion, driving a tie-dye Jeep, and running a roller disco restaurant, Ruby is living out her childhood dreams come true, with one exception. According to the game, Ruby's other half is supposed to be Penn Hayes, her brother's annoying and annoyingly handsome best friend. But there's zero romance between them. Just like in real life, all they share is sarcasm. With no rules to follow and desperate to return to reality, Ruby makes her best guess at an escape plan. Win Pen's heart so the game comes completely true and she can go home. It's unthinkable. On Ruby's list of do's and don'ts, Pen Hayes is a lifelong don't. But as Ruby navigates the magical world she dreamed up at 13, she wonders if, by finally throwing out her rules, she might just find her way home to the life and love she deserves. So good. That is The Mashup by Laura Marie Myers, also out at July 7th. And I'm sorry, not sorry, but the cover is wonderful. It is bright. It is sketchy. It's got doodles. If you did any of these things in the early aughts, what a premise.
It sounds incredible. This to me sounds perfect. I don't know if like I was the target audience, but I want to read it.
Hey, I feel like anyone who grew up in that time was, or not, target demo, right. Who just wants to live in a Techniclaire mansion, driving a Jeep and running a roller disco restaurant. And it's actually making me think back to what our like go-to things were that we put down for MASH, because I do feel like you always put the like same, like these jobs.
Oh, we had a limousine. I feel like it was limousine with a driver. Was one of the go-tos.
Right. And so just like, I'm going to maybe pull out some of my like storage bins and see if we've got any old MASH
notebook
laying around. Because just what back in the day, what was our sort of dream setup? And it was certainly always mansion for sure, but settled for house over
as long
over
as we
the
didn't
other ones.
Have a shack, it was
no
okay.
shacks.
I was always jealous. I didn't get to play MASH as much as I wanted to, but 'twas the early night. I guess it was the late 90s. I guess it was the late 90s.
Late 90s.
I guess it was the late 90s. But as you're like, a Technicolor house, I'm like, well, I guess I did get the house I wanted.
Yeah, sort of like Barbie dream house. Oops.
Well, my next pick, unrelated, but now that I'll be adding that furiously to my TBR, this is the Masala Chai Mystery Club by MJ Sony. This will be out July 21st. I am a sucker for mysteries, and I don't know. I love mysteries, and I love a retired main character taking us through the mystery. So suspects abound when a much despised neighbor is killed, perfect for fans of Only Murders in the Building and the Thursday Murder Club. I also don't think it will be surprising when I say retired librarian Needy Shah was hoping for a restful life with her chai-loving friends, but when the body of a neighbor, a childhood friend of Needy's, turns up dead and the killer's MO is similar to that of Needy's most recent book club read, things start to get out of control. Oops, I picked a librarian and a book club. When Needy hears commotion at a neighbor's house, she finds Rhodey's body sprawled across the bottom of the staircase with Agatha Christie's dumb witness nearby. Blackmailing his neighbors, threatening them with lawsuits, and calling them by nasty nicknames were only some of the hateful things that made him so disliked. But were they angry enough to kill? Needy is indebted to her old friend, and she's determined to find his killer. But she can't do it alone, so she enlists her mystery-loving friends, the Masala Chai Mystery Club, to get to the bottom of the murder. But Needy and her murder club members need to be careful. As more bodies turn up and more suspects start to appear, they'll need to find the killer before they end up in hot water. Again, that is the Masala Chai Mystery Club by MJ Sony, out July 21st. I love the puns. I love the book club. I love a retired librarian. I am made for these kind of like older adult main characters. I love like a 60s and up main character just taking us through this journey, because I love the dynamic that we see a lot of, oh, whatever, she's just an old auntie, she's just someone's grandma, and like the dismissal that happens, and they like fight back to just go, oh, and you thought I couldn't solve this? So I'm very much for it. I also love that like friend group dynamic of they're all trying to solve it together. I'm anticipating some shenanigans and some like bumbling buffoonery. But yeah.
And I love a pun.
Oh, same.
Everything about that sounds wonderful. And I
Right.
do also appreciate having main characters in a variety of stages of life.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's nice, especially as I continue to progress in age,
As we
to
keep getting older.
to have a variety of, of options when
Yeah.
reading. So
Yeah, I know. Because even with my YAs now, I find myself going like, oh, honey, one day you'll look back and go, huh, that was no big thing,
I
wasn't it?
know. It was so much simpler back then.
I am unk, as the kids say.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know what that means. So you can
I'm
tell.
sure I didn't use it right, but
You can tell. Wow. But and this is actually a coincidence because we selected these a few weeks ago. And then
You're my favorite, Emma, because I'll be like, hey, do you want to record? You'll reply immediately, yes. I'll send a date with the doc to put our notes in. And within the hour, you've got at least half of your list in there, if not the full thing. And then I'll go, don't mind me when you see my cursor furiously flying. Because secret about me, I'll have like 30 tabs open and I'll pull like 28 of them into the doc and then start chopping,
and narrow down. No, but
yeah.
it's so funny. Obviously, I was feeling some type of way when I picked these because I didn't remember that there were so many like overlapping themes. So this next one, you'll laugh because of the premise, especially given the book I last talked about. I didn't plan it in this order, but we'll say that I did. And that's If Books Could Kill by Kate Eberly, July 21st.
Even the same day.
Literally. So when Roxy makes a tongue-in-cheek wish, again, we're feeling some type of way if we could wish ourselves into any scenario. But she makes a tongue-in-cheek wish to live out the plot of her favorite author's next novel. She has romance in mind, namely the sweet, safe, swoon-worthy storylines Anna Matthews is known for. It should be a dream come true when her wish is granted, and she finds herself swept into a first date with a handsome stranger who seems designed to take her breath away, except for one little hiccup. That handsome stranger tries to take her breath away, literally with a knife. The thing is, Roxy may be the new Anna Matthews protagonist, but this time, Anna's writing a crime thriller. Thrown into a perilous genre she's never read, Roxy is desperate for help. So when her escape takes her straight into the path of Grant Hoffman, an anxious English professor with a convenient love of crime novels, she decides that kidnapping a grown man is a small price to pay for her survival. Together, Roxy and Grant navigate a madcap story in which the lines between fiction and reality blur. They'll find out if they have what it takes to make it to the end, capital T, capital E, the end, or maybe even happily ever after. All caps there. That is If Books Could Kill by Kate Eberly, out July 21st. Come on.
That sounds so good.
Come on. And this, again, is sort of combining the things that I am feeling for the summer. We've got some romance. We've got some mystery. We've got a little bit of humor tossed in there. So
right, like rom-com-y thriller.
Yep.
Which I love that.
Meet cute turned murderous. Is what that is. What that's. It's so good. So
it made me think of How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates. Yeah. That one came out earlier this year. How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates.
Yes.
But this sounds fantastic. I love this element of just like the magical realism of oops, you fell into your book and it's not what you expected.
Well, right. And like, oh, of course, like she writes romance. Well, authors can change their genres, can change their interests. And so, right, what would you do if you were expecting one thing and you totally get another?
God, I love it. Well, my penultimate pick is a swing in a completely different direction from everything we have talked about today. If you've listened to me for any amount of time, y'all know I do love a memoir. And this one is out on the 21st as well, July 21st, by Eva Benefield. This is Ghost Girl, Surviving the Black Swan Murder. So a little bit of true crime for y'all. Eva Benfield, the daughter of the victim of the viral Black Swan murder, kind of hate murder being described as viral, but whatever, describes coming of age amidst grief, violence, and true crime spectacle in a poignant memoir, quote, relatable to anyone who's experienced grief or witnessed evil up close. Eva tells her story with grace and even humor in these pages, end quote. That is from Shari Franke, the author of The House of My Mother. Eva was still in high school when her mother died suddenly of a heart attack. Within a year, her father marries Ashley Byers, a 24-year-old former bikini model who he's only known for a few weeks. She looked sharp, Eva says of her strange new stepmother. Like if you touched her, you might bleed. After a few months, Ashley convinces her new husband to open an international ballet company in Charleston, South Carolina. But soon, the money runs out and Ashley shoots and kills Eva's father. The crime was dubbed in the news as the Black Swan Murder. Eva, now orphaned and in college, is suddenly awash in tabloid gore and must figure out how to make rent and survive. Reeling from the sudden loss of both her parents and the looming criminal trial of her stepmother, Eva begins to navigate the confusing world of adulthood all alone. You don't have a choice about a lot of stuff, especially when you're a girl, Eva says. The things that changed my life were not my choices. They were other people's decisions, people who really should have known better. From losing friends who can't understand the nature of her new reality, to processing her grief and anger as she slowly pulls herself together and begins to start a new path forward, Eva confronts the triumphs and challenges of a truly incredible situation head on in this unforgettable memoir. Again, that is Ghost Girl by Eva Benefield, out July 21st. Emma, you can attest, this is different from my typical memoir picks, but I am a true crime podcast listener, or I have been over the years. My listening tastes change and I kind of like mood listen generally. But yeah, this I actually hadn't heard about the Black Swan case. So I'm very curious to learn about it, but not from I don't care about the true crime element. I want to understand, because I feel like to me this is the first time I'm seeing a story like this where we are hearing from someone who was caught in crossfire effectively.
Yeah, no, I hadn't heard of this either. Hence my like oohing
Frantic
and
Googling.
awing
Yeah.
and Googling. Yeah, let me know how this is. It
I will.
absolutely interesting topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm interested to hear the impact on her and what life looked like, because these are the things that, like, I don't know, entertainment is entertainment, and and I love and I respect what a lot of people do, but at the end of the day, it's important to remember that there are people behind this. And it sounds like from that description alone, Eva had a really tough time getting her life together with no family and money seemingly all lost in this ballet school.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point where we sort of I agree with you. Describing it as viral is kind of like not the right word, but we do certainly have that fascination with these things that happen in real life.
And I think stories like this are important when we see, I don't know, when it feels like, especially here in the States, we've become a little numb to headlines.
Yeah.
When there always seems to be a new headline, that I think it's very important for us to be confronted by the victims, like, even
Yes.
though Eva wasn't attacked, she is a victim of this crime. So anyway,
Right. No,
sorry, unintentional soapbox. I'll climb off it now, but
no, that sounds really, really compelling. So let me know
definitely.
how you find that. My last pick is just sort of an honorable mention because the book has been out for a while. And then it got picked up for traditional publishing, and the ebook is out, but the audiobook is out in July. So honorable mention to a book you may or may not have seen all over your internet, all over TikTok, and that's A Daggermouth by H.M. Wolfe. Joe and I love an audiobook. I love an audiobook in part thanks to Joe. And so just wanted to call out that this audiobook is releasing on July 21st. I've already forgotten if I said that already, so said that again for emphasis there. But this is fantasy, romance, a sort of sci-fi, dystopian. I know that there is a love interest in this, but I believe it is more firmly dystopian with romantic elements than romance proper, from my understanding. But don't take what I say as absolute truth. And one of our favorites, Teddy Hamilton, is one of the narrators for that. And I have been loving audiobooks lately for the ability to multitask. So when this audiobook comes out, this is at the top of my Libby TBR. So I've got that tags saved. And I'm eagerly awaiting so that I can listen to this. Because I've seen it all over the internet, but haven't written. Oh my gosh, haven't read it yet. So I can't wait.
I have loved seeing your like dive into audiobooks and your enjoyment of them. So
it's honestly, I'm more inclined to do the audio now.
Yeah.
If you can believe it.
I can. I worked hard on you for that.
You did, but I do think, and I think I've said this before, you really have to, like, I mean, for me, I had to work up to it. I had to practice.
And I think that's important for people to hear. Like, it's, you know, I mean, I think like you always find and use what works best for you. Like, if you like having the time to sit down and read, or, you know, if that's your practice, I mean, you can still have that practice with audio. You just have to be intentional about it. But it's not for everyone right away, but it doesn't mean it still isn't potentially for you.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's out of reach. And I think that was an interesting lesson to learn, where I was like, well, I can only listen to certain things on audio.
Yeah.
And that simply wasn't true. I just had to sort of adjust my approach and adjust like what I was tackling on audio as a newer listener, and then sort of build up to other things. But no, I'm more inclined at this point to listen to the audiobook than to read the book. I'm certainly still reading things, but it really I'm very intentional about the format now. Which I find interesting. So I'm very excited to try this one on audio.
Well, that'd be fun. My last pick, the only parallels I can draw, because as you mentioned, we love an audiobook. We also love a podcast within a book, and that is what my last pick is. So I'm rounding out with a very summer reading pick for me. This is a YA suspense thriller. This is from Karen Mina Cantor. This is Alex by Proxy, out July 21st. A Munchausen by proxy victim reveals his deepest secrets on a true crime podcast, but will his audience believe him, let alone his loved ones? Harrowing new details in Monster Mommy case. Shocking information surfaces as Monster Mommy case heads to trial. How could a mother poison her son? Welcome to 16-year-old Alex's life, ripped straight from the headlines. Alex is a victim of Munchausen by proxy, but he's also a witty, sarcastic kid with unusually good crossword skills and a penchant for astronomy. At least he used to be. Now that he's recovered from years of illness induced by his mother, he sort of has to figure out who he is all over again. And most importantly, he'll have to decide if he can testify against the woman who gave birth to him. As Alex awaits the trial, his friends convince him to start a podcast as a way to tell his story. Together, they create Lethal Lullaby. The podcast brings Alex closer to his old life, hanging out with friends, cracking jokes, having fun. At the same time, new memories surface and disturbing revelations come out, forcing Alex to acknowledge that the podcast could be making things worse. It seems like he's got deeper issues than he'd like to admit. At least this time, he can't blame them on his mom. Day by day, Alex's mental health crumbles until he can no longer distinguish between truth and fiction. Should he trust himself to testify? And if he gets up there, what version of the truth will he share? This breathtaking YA debut is perfect for fans of Sadie and The Act. Come for the can't look away take on true crime, stay for the honest portrayal of mental illness. Again, that's Alex by Proxy, Karen Mina Cantor, out July 21st. I think this ties really nicely with my nonfic pick, because I think this hopefully, you know, from the description, because again, this is all we've got right now. My hope is that the same things I was kind of I guess, complaining about or hoping that we start to do better on as a society. Like, I think that is what this is taking on. And I'm hoping for like a really mindful look at, you know, what all of this means and the impact and things we need to think of.
This sounds fantastic.
Right?
And it immediately reminded me of Sadie by Courtney Summers. So anything in that style, I'm absolutely going to check out.
Oh, definitely. But Emma, thank you for joining me today and sharing your book picks.
Thanks for having me. It was so fun. Always love chatting books with you.
And I hope you have a wonderful leave and
Thank
so much
you.
rest and relaxation as much as you can, with a newborn.
With a newborn, as much rest and relaxation as we can. That will be the vibe.
Oh, well,
Probably lots of coffee, but
yeah, right. Well, you'll be able to drink more again
I
finally.
will be able to have more finally. I admittedly am looking forward to that. So
I know. I always feel like a heel when I see you in the office and I'm holding like my coffee cup that's 30 ounces and you're like,
yeah.
here's my 6 or whatever.
Here's my grande, half calf.
Oh.
I know.
Well,
So
you'll be there before you know it. But friends, just a reminder, if you're enjoying the show, consider following all of that. While you're on your summer break right now, we are as well. It is currently the off season for Book Lounge by Libby, so our cadence is a little different. I will be posting 3 to 4 episodes per month, and you can look forward to season 4 at the end of September. In the meantime, make sure you comment on YouTube and Spotify. Let us know what books from our lists you're adding to your TBR or what things you're adding to your TBR that we didn't even bring up here. We'd love to hear from you. You can also reach out to me via email, bookloungebylibby@overdrive.com. And if your library has Canopy, you can watch all 3 seasons of Book Lounge by Libby on Canopy for 0 tickets. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And as always, happy reading! You can sample and borrow the books from today's episode in the Libby app, or if you're a librarian, find them for purchase in Overdrive Marketplace. Book Lounge by Libby is a proud Evergreen Podcast signature program. Explore more amazing shows at evergreenpodcasts.com. This podcast is produced and recorded by me, Joe Skelly, with editing by Andrew Alonzo. Our theme music is High Five by Rex Banner, used with permission. Book Lounge by Libby is presented by the Libby app. Learn more at libbylife.com/booklounge.